Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manovistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Satalini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we entered chapter 29 last week, this talk between Narada and King Prachina Barahi. So in the last 4 chapters, Narada Muni given story of Puranjana and Puranjani to Prachina Bari, explaining about the essence of life. Then now in this chapter, basically Prachina Bari, he says that, I could not completely understand the purport of your words. Could you kindly explain it? So now Narada Muni started explaining about the each character and what is being compared to. So as of now we have read till text 5. We'll continue from text 6 today. So he said that Puranjana is the living entity who is living within each living entity, the Atma, and the city is the body, or which has 9 gates. Avigyata, or the unknown friend, is the Supreme Lord, who is always residing eternally with the Jiva, though Jiva doesn't realize that he is just sitting beside. He remains unknown. That's called as Avigyata. The 9 gates of the city, the body with the nine openings and the 2 hands. Then Puranjini, it was material intelligence or ignorance. His male friends, we'll continue from here. The male friends start from here, which has 10 in number. Okay, let us read from here. Text 6 onwards. Sakhaya indriyagana jnanam karma cha yat kritam sakshastadvrittya prana pancha vrittya thoraga. Yes, Kishori Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. The 5 working senses and the 5 senses that acquire knowledge are all male friends of Puranjini. The living entity is assisted by these senses in acquiring knowledge and engaging in activity. The engagements of the senses are known as girlfriends, and the serpent, which was described as having 5 heads, is life air acting within the 5 circulatory processes. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So even, while reading the previous thing, Prabhupada, kindly has given all these explanations to us in the purport itself. So which is now being narrated by Narad Muni. So 10 senses are male friends, action of senses are the female friends, and the life air are the 5 serpents with 5 heads, 5 life ears. Purport. कृष्ण बहिर्मुख हय भोगवांछा करे निकटस्थ माया तारे झपटिया धरे. It's a very many times Prabhupada quote this verse to warn us that Maya is so strong, and Maya also sitting beside us, and as soon as we give her the hand, she grabs her. And interestingly, I was just reading before our class, I was reading Java Dharma, and this point came up. Give me a second. I think interesting question came up actually. The question was, let me open it right here itself. The question was that Maya Devi is merely a who is Maya Devi? It says Maya Devi is merely a transformation and reflection of the Swarup Shakti of Krishna. So the question came here is that This Durga Devi is listed as eternal associate of Sri Hari. Who is Durga Devi in Golaka? An answer is given in Jayadharma. He says that she is actually Yogamaya, who is expansion of Chit Shakti, and she is the one who does the both things, who takes care of the Krishna's pastimes in spiritual world as Krishna Leela Posana Shakti, and see the same one, her expansion is one who takes care in the material world, right? So nicely explained here in Jayavadharma as well, stating that the people who are um not inclined to see Krishna, for them Maya Devi punishes, and the one who are inclined to see Krishna, then Maya Devi facilitates them to take path of Krishna Bhakti. Yeah, that's how Jivadharma explains this, who is Maya Devi, And here we are saying right away, let's see what it says here. He says, because of his desire to enjoy the material world, the living entity is dressed with the material gross and subtle bodies. Thus, he is given a chance to enjoy the senses. The senses are therefore the instruments for enjoying the material world. Consequently, the senses have been described as friends. Sometimes, because of too much sinful activities, the living entity does not get a material gross body but hovers on the subtle platform. This is called ghostly life. Because of his not possessing a gross body, he creates a great deal of trouble in his subtle body. Thus, the presence of a ghost is horrible for those who are living in the gross body. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 15:10, Ukramantam sthitam vapi bhunjanam va gunanvitam vimudha nanu pashyanti jnana chakshusha. The foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit his body, nor they can understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of the modes of nature. But one whose eyes are trained in knowledge can see all these things. We say the very first verse to prayer, Om Ajnanati Mirandasa Jnananjana Salake, isn't it? By the spiritual ointment, with the knowledge of spiritual knowledge, the spiritual master opens he's dissipated the darkness, so that we need the knowledge. The living entity is merged into the air of life, which acts in different ways of circulation. There are 5 kinds of life here. It's a prana, apana, udana, vyana, samana, and these the life air functions in this 5-fold way. It is compared to the 5-hooded serpent, and the soul passes through the Kundalini chakra like a serpent crawling on the ground. And the life air is compared to Uraga, the serpent. Panchavritti is the desire to satisfy the senses, attracted by the 5 sense objects, namely the form, taste, sound, smell, and touch. Yeah, so that's explained here. Let's see next. Brihad balam manovidyat उभयेन्द्रियनायकं पाञ्चाला पाञ्चविषया यन्मध्ये नवखं पुरम्. Okay, Janmati.
Krishna Prabhu. The 11th attendant, who is the commander of the others, is known as the mind. He is the leader of the senses, both in the acquisition of knowledge and in the performance of work. The Panchala kingdom is that atmosphere in which the 5 sense objects are enjoyed. Within the Panchala kingdom is the city of the body, which has 9 gates. Haribo.
Yeah. So this is explained. Let's say the purport. The mind is the center of all activities and is described here as Brihad Bala, very powerful. Even Krishna says, and Arjuna says in the Bhagavad Gita as well to Krishna, Chanchalam Mana Krishna, Pramadi Bala Bratadam. Bala is also used the same word there as well. It's very, very powerful. To get out of the clutches of Maya, material existence, one has to control his mind. According to training, the mind is the friend and the enemy of the living entity. If one gets a good manager, his state is very nicely managed. But if the manager is a thief, his state is spoiled. Similarly, in the material conditional existence, the living entity gives power of attorney to his mind. As such, he is liable to be misdirected by his mind into enjoying sense objects. Srila Ambarish Maharaj therefore first engaged his mind onto the lotus feet of the Lord, Save Mana Krishna Padar Vindayor. When the mind is engaged in meditation of the lotus feet of the Lord, the senses are controlled. This system of control is called yama, and this means subduing the senses. One who can subdue the senses is called a Goswami, but one who cannot control the mind is called Godasa. The mind directs the activities of the senses, which are expressed through different outlets as described in the next verse. Okay. So the mind, which is the leader of the 10 senses. Yeah. Akshini nasike karnau mukha shishno gudau iti dve dve dware bahiryati yastendriyam samyuta. Is Tamil Shali Mataji?
The eye, nostrils, and ears are pairs of gates situated in one place. The mouth, genitals, and rectum are also different gates. Being placed into a body having these 9 gates, the living entity acts externally in the material world and enjoys sense objects like form and taste.
Yeah, so basically this gives a bit kind of description about these 9 gates. So let us read. Not being aware of his spiritual position, the living entity directed by the mind goes out through the 9 gates to the enjoy material objects. Because of a long association with material objects, he forgets his real spiritual activities and is thus misled. The entire world is going on being misled by so-called leaders like scientists and philosophers who have no knowledge of the spiritual or spirit soul. Thus the conditioned soul becomes more and more entangled. Yeah, because we lack spiritual knowledge, that's why we become more entangled, because we do not know that how our activities are binding us. Akshini nasike ashyam iti panchapura krita dakshina nakshina karna uttara chottara smrita paschime itya ado dvarahu guram shishnam ihochate. Atu Krishna Prabhu.
The eyes, nostrils, and the mouth. Altogether 5 are situated in the front. The right ear is accepted as a southern gate, and the left ear is a northern gate. The 2 holes or gates situated in the west are known as the rectum and genital organ.
Of all the sides, the eastern is considered most important, primarily because the sun rises from that direction. The gates on the eastern side, the eyes, nose, and mouth, are thus very important gates in the body. Yeah, I think if you remember, we also discussed this um, in chapter 25 as well. Yeah, all these who are the presiding, I mean, the gates of the city and the holes of the body, and then the destination, and then who are the friend. Like, remember we saw the eyes there by Duman, the sun. Because of sun we could see, isn't it? Okay, let's see text 10. खद्योताविर्मुखी चात्र नेत्रे एकत्र निर्मिते रूपं बिभ्रजातिं तभ्यं विश्यते चक्षुषोवर. उंगला माता जी.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. The two gates named Khadoyasta and Avirmukhi, which have been spoken of, are the two eyes side by side in one place. The town named Vibhrajita should be understood as home. In this way, the two eyes are always engaged in seeing different kind of forms. Hare Krishna.
I think these are kind of similar description we saw in chapter 25 as well. But yeah, again, because this is a summary of the whole last few chapters, this coming again to explain those to Puranjana. Sorry, to Prachanabhari. The two eyes are attracted by the brilliant things like light. Sometimes we find that the little insects are attracted by the brightness of fire and thus enter into it. Similarly, the two eyes of the living entity are attracted by bright and beautiful forms. They are entangled in these forms exactly as the insect becomes attracted to fire. नलिनी नालिनी नासे गंध शौरव उच्यते ग्रणो विदतो मुख्याशं विपनो वाग्रसावृत्सः. त्याल माता जी.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Be known as the two nostrils, and the city named Saurabha represents aroma. The companion spoken of as Avatuda is the sense of smell. The door called Mukhya is the mouth, and Vipana is the faculty of speech. Rasanya is the sense of taste. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. The word Avadhuta means most free. A person is not under the rules and regulations of any injunctions when he has attained the stage of Avadhuta. In other words, he can act as he likes. The Avadhuta stage is exactly like air, which does not care for any obstruction. In Bhagavad Gita, it is stated, Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramadi balavad dhritam tasyaham nigraham manni vayuriva suduskaram. The mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong, O Krishna, and to subdue it seems to me more difficult than controlling the wind. Just as the air or wind cannot be checked by anyone, the two nostrils, situated in one place, enjoy the sense of smell without impediment. When the tongue is present, the mouth continually tastes all kinds of relishable foodstuffs. This is basically explaining about how the senses they enjoy the sense objects. Yeah. Apano vyavaharotra chitram ando bahudanam pitro dakshina karna uttaro devahu smata. Suresh Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. The city called Apana represents engagement of the tongue in speech, and Bahudana is the variety of foodstuffs. The right ear is called the gate of Pitru, and the left ear is called the gate of Devahu.
Yeah. Text 13. Pravuttam cha nivrittim cha Shastram Panchala Samjita Pitrayanam Devayanam Strochat Churata Dharat Prajayet. Sorry, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Narada Muni continued. The city spoken of as Dakshin Panchala represents the scriptures meant for directing pravritti, the process of sense enjoyment in fruitive activities. The other city named Uttara Panchala represents the scriptures meant for decreasing fruitive activities and increasing knowledge. The living entity receives different kinds of knowledge by means of 2 ears, and some living entities are promoted to Pitruloka and some to Devaloka. All this is made possible by the 2 ears.
So, very powerful senses, how they are engaged. No? The Vedas are known as Shruti, and the knowledge received from them through oral reception is called as Shruti Dhara. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, one can be promoted to the planets of the demigods or to the planets of the Pitas, forefather, or even to the Vaikuntha planets, simply through the process of hearing. These things have already been explained in previous chapters. Yeah, text 14. Ashuri Mejaram Argvagdvar Vevayo Graminam Rati Upastho Durmadha Prokta Nritte Guna Uchate. Jai Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
The city called Gramaka, which is approached through the lower gate of Asuri, the genital organ, is meant for sex, which is very pleasing to common men who are simply fools and rascals. The faculty of procreation is called Durmada, and the rectum is called Nirti. Sorry, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. When the worlds become degraded, civilization becomes demoniac. And for the common man, the rectum and the genitals are taken very seriously as the centers of all activity. Even in such a sacred place as Vrindavan, India, unintelligent men pass off this rectal and genital business as spiritual activities. Such people are called Sahajiyas. According to their philosophy, through sexual indulgence, one can elevate oneself to the spiritual platform. From these verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, however, we understand that the desires for sexual satisfaction are meant for the arvak, or the lowest among men. To rectify these rascals and fools is very difficult. After all, the sex desire of the common man are condemned in these verses. The word Durmada means wrongly directed, and Nirati means sinful activities. Although this clearly indicates that sex indulgence is abominable and misdirected even from the ordinary point of view, the Sahajiyas nonetheless pass themselves off as devotees conducting spiritual activities. For this reason, Vrindavan is no longer visited by intelligent men. We are often asked why we have made our center in Vrindavan. For the external point of view, it is to be concluded that Vrindavan has become degenerate due to the Sahajiya's activities. Yet the spiritual point of view, Vrindavan is the only place where all these sinful persons can be rectified by means of taking birth in the forms of dogs, hogs, and monkeys. By living in Vrindavan as a dog, hog, or monkey, the living entity can be elevated to the spiritual platform in the next life. Yeah. There are so many beautiful verses actually glorifying Vrindavan. 15. Vaishasham narakam payur lubdhako nandau tu me sunu hastapadau पुमांस्ताभ्यां युक्तो याति करोति च. Tamil Sali Mataji?
When it is said that Puranjana goes to Vaishashya, it's meant that he goes to hell. He is accompanied by Luptaka, which is the working sense in the rectum. Formerly, I have also spoken of two blind associates. These associates should be understood to be the hands and the legs. Being helped by the hands and legs, the living entity performs all kinds of work and moves hither and thither.
So these are hell actually. We'll see is in Canto 5 different types of hells. Antapuram cha hridayam विशोषीर्मन उच्यते तत्र मोहं प्रसादं वा हर्षं प्राप्नोति तद्गुणः. अति कृष्ण प्रभु.
The word Antapura refers to the heart. The word Vishuchina, meaning going everywhere, indicates the mind. Within the mind, the living entity enjoys the effects of the modes of material nature. These effects sometimes cause illusion, sometimes satisfaction, and sometimes jubilation.
The mind, isn't it? The mind and the intelligence of the living entity in the material existence are affected by the modes of material nature. And according to the association of these material modes, the mind is habituated to go here and there. The heart feels satisfaction, jubilation, or illusion according to the effects of the modes of material nature. Actually, the living entity in his material condition remains inert. It is the modes of material nature that act on the mind and heart. The results are enjoyed or suffered by the living entity. This is clearly stated in Bhagavad Gita. Prakriti kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasa ankara vimudatma karta aham iti manyate. The bewildered spirit soul, under the influence of the three modes of material nature, thinks himself the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by nature. Yatha yatha vikriyate गुणाक्तो विकरोति वा तथा तथोपदृष्ट्यात्मा तद्वृत्तिरनुकार्यते. उमला माता जी.
Hare Krishna. Formerly, it was explained that the queen is one's intelligence, while one is awake or asleep. That intelligence creates different situations, being influenced by contaminated intelligence, the living entity and envisions something and simply imitates the action and reaction of his intelligence. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So the queen of Puranjana is described herein as intelligence itself. Intelligence acts both in the dream state and in the waking state, but it is contaminated by the three modes of material nature. Since the intelligence is contaminated, the living entity is also contaminated. In the conditioned state, the living entity acts according to the contaminated intelligence. Although he simply remains an observer, he nonetheless acts, being forced by a contaminated intelligence, which in reality is a passive agent. Yeah. Okay. Text 18 to 20. So this also we discussed earlier. Let us read down. देहो रथस्तु इन्द्रियार्स्व संवात्सरयो गति द्विकर्मश्चस्त्रियगुणध्वज पञ्च शुबन्धुर मनोरश्मिर्बुद्धिश्च सुतो हिरणीदो द्वन्द्वकुमारा पंचेन्द्रियार्थ सप्तधातुवरात्तकः आकृतिर्विक्रमो भायो मृगतृष्णां प्रधानवती एकादशेन्द्रिया चामो पंचशूनो vinodakrit. This is the analogy of chariot. Yeah, let's read it once again. Rupesh Prabhu.
Narada Muni continued, what I referred to as the chariot was in actually the body. The senses are the horses that pull the chariot. As time passes, year after year, these horses run without obstruction, but in fact they make no progress. Pious and impious activities are the two wheels of the chariot. The three modes of material nature are the chariot's flags. The 5 types of life air constitute the living entity's bondage, and the mind is considered to be the rope. Intelligence is the chariot's driver. The heart is the sitting place in the chariot, and the dualities of life, such as pleasure and pain, are the knotting place. The 7 elements are the coverings of the chariot, and the working senses are the 5 external processes. The 11 senses are the soldiers, being engrossed in sense enjoyment. The living entity seated on the chariot hankers after fulfillment of his false desires and runs after sense enjoyment, life after life.
Yeah, we discussed this point earlier elaborately as well on that time. One second. Just trying to clear all drawings. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. The entanglement of this living entity in sense enjoyment is very nicely explained in these verses. The word samvatsara, meaning the progress of time, is significant. Day after day, week after week, fortnight after fortnight, month after month, year after year, the living entity becomes entangled in the chariot's progress. The chariot rests on the 2 wheels, which are pious and impious activities. The living entity attains a certain position in life in a particular type of body according to his pious and impious activities. But his transmigration into different bodies should not be taken as progress. Real progress is explained in Bhagavad Gita 4.9, Tyakta Deham Punar Janma Naiti. One makes real progress when he does not have to take another material body. As stated in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 19.138. Eita Brahmanda Bhari Ananta Jivagana Chaturashi Laksha Yoni Karaya Brahmana. The living entity is wandering throughout the entire universe and taking birth in different species on different planets. Thus he moves up and down, but that is not a real progress. Real progress is getting out of the material world altogether. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 8.16, Abrahma Bhonad Loka Punaravartino Arjuna Mam Upetitu Kaunteya Punara Janmana Vidyate. From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all the places of misery wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. Even if one is promoted to Brahmaloka, the highest planet in the universe, he has to come down again to the lower planetary system. Thus he is wandering up and down perpetually, under the influence of the 3 modes of material nature. Being illusioned, he thinks he is making progress. He is like an airplane encircling the earth day and night, incapable of leaving the earth's gravitational field. Factually, there is no progress because the airplane is conditioned by the earth gravity. Wow, nice example. Just as a king is seated on a chariot, the living entity is seated in the body. The sitting place is the heart, and the living entity sits there and engages in the struggle for existence, which goes on without progress perpetually. In the words of Narottam Das Thakur, कर्म कांड ज्ञान कांड केवल विषय भांड अमृत बलिया जीव खाए नाना योनि सदा फिरे कद्दर जे भक्षण करे तार जन्म अध पाते आए. The living entity struggles very hard due to the influence of food activities and mental speculation and simply gets a different type of body life after life. He eats all kinds of nonsense and is condemned by his activities of sense enjoyment. If one really wants to progress in life, he must give up the ways of karma kanda and jnana kanda, future activities and mental speculation. Being fixed in Krishna consciousness, one can become free from the entanglement of birth and death and the vain struggle for existence. In these verses, the words Mriga Trishnam Pravritti are very significant because the living entity is influenced by a thirst for sense enjoyment. He's like a deer. He's like a deer that goes to the desert to search out water. In a desert, an animal simply searches in vain for water. Of course, there is no water in the desert, and the animal simply sacrifices his life in an attempt to find it. Everyone is planning for future happiness, thinking that if he can somehow or other reach a certain point, he will be happy. He actually, however, when he comes to the point, he sees that there is no happiness. He then plans to go further and further to go another point. This is called Mriga Trishna, and its basis is sense enjoyment in this material world. Okay, let us see. I think brilliant purpose, eye-opening purpose, isn't it? Samvatsara Chandavega Kalo Yenopalakshita Tashyahaniha Gandharva Gandharbhyo Ratna Yashmata Harantyayu Parikrantyaya Shashtyuktara Sattatatrayam. Stella Mataji?
What was previously explained as Kandavega, powerful time, is covered by days and nights named Gandharva and Gandharvis. The body's lifespan is gradually reduced by the passage of days and nights, which number 360. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, we discussed Chandavega, the time is going through a cycle of days and night. Okay, we'll pause today here. We'll continue tomorrow, nectar devotion, probably tomorrow, and then maybe next one more week. And we would be kind of completing our recap of the first 19 chapter. Then following week, to that we can start 7th section. Hare Krishna. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, give the book. Thank you for your call.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.